And go. Right, also welcome to the Lagoon resident feeding. It is actually going to take place in a few areas around our lagoon, but we are going to start right here at Goliath Basin. Now, our lagoon itself is actually man-made. It was dredged out back in the 50s, but everything that you see here has grown back naturally. The lagoon itself is in a U shape connected to a vodka cut channel at the end, and along that wall there are some holes. That is exactly what allows us a free-flowing system. So we have high and low tides every day, as well as temperature and visibility changes. So anything that the ocean is subjected to, we are as well right in here. Now both Goliath Basin and Tarpon Basin on the other side are blocked off by that wall at the end, but also netting underneath the bridges, meaning that the lagoon is split into 3 different sections with all of those fish subjected to that specific section. So here in Goliath Basin, we will find a few different residents. That is going to include the tarpon, those larger fish with the green backing. We have a variety of snappers and jacks, including the jack balls, which will be the really fast, shiny fish you may see. But our main reason for this feeding is for Big George. He is right around a 350-pound Goliath Grouper. So he is the largest resident that we have here at the aquarium. And with this feeding for George, it is going to be a training session. So we ring this dive rattle every single time under the water right before feeding. That is exactly what initiates that food time. Just in case George is anywhere roaming around up and down the basin here, he'd hear the noise knowing that food was available for him if he would like to come and get some. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with that. If you have any questions, I'll go ahead and take those for you at the end. Now we are doing this feeding twice a day, so we are giving George multiple opportunities to come on up and get some food. But of course, never forcing him to do so. That is completely his decision. And there are a few factors that play into that hunger. Biggest one probably being how much he ate earlier today or even the day before. So what I'm going to do is actually load up our food for him today, which will be herring, onto my feeding pole. Now I'm going to tap it a few times along the surface of the water just to get George's attention at the top. And if he is in fact hungry today, he'll come on up to the platform and grab this food here. Now a little bit about Goliath Groupers. They are going to be the largest species of grouper here in the Atlantic. They reach to right around 800 pounds and 8 feet in length. However, they are only going to be the 2nd largest species of grouper in the world. They are second to the Queensland grouper, which you can find in the waters of Australia in and around the Great Barrier Reef. They can get upwards of 1,000 pounds, so even much larger than this here Goliath. Now, Goliath groupers are known as an ambush predator, so they do hide and they actually wait for their prey. He's making a few circles around the bottom here, stalking his prey. Now, because they're just waiting for their prey, they are not expending a lot of energy or a lot of calories. And therefore, they're not needing to eat as much as you'd think for their large size. We feed George here on average 3, maybe 4 chunks of what you're seeing here per feed. It means he's getting a maximum of about 8 chunks a day. And that is it. If we were to feed him more than that, say even 10 chunks, we could go a day, up to a week without seeing George feed again. That would just be completely normal for the species, as he's just not expending the energy he's consuming. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and give him another piece. We'll try and get him up a little bit further here. He usually starts off pretty slow for us. Now, as you can see, George is very good at hiding, and of course that does help with that ambushing nature. They do have mottled coloration to their scales, which will break up the coloration of their body, allowing them to hide very easily in darker or shaded areas. And that typically is in and around structures. So George here loves to be underneath this platform or the bridge. Sometimes you'll even catch him underneath the mangroves on the other side. But out in the wild, you are gonna find Goliaths. He's tricking us right now, he's thinking about it. You are gonna find Goliaths in and around coral heads as well as in shipwrecks. Now, the Goliath Grouper, you are not going to be finding on any restaurant menus, and you do have to immediately release them if you do in fact catch them on your fishing line. That is because this animal and this species is actually a protected species, and they have been since the 90s. They were heavily overfished back in the 80s, and we just didn't know that this animal is very slow growing and does mature very late in life, so reproduction rates took a really big hit. Now, for the Fish and Wildlife actually talked last year about possibly opening up a small restricted season, but they voted against it. They do feel that they need a little more data collection on these animals, as they believe that they could possibly still be declining in populations. They have also found that some individuals of Goliath groupers have super high levels of mercury, so it is not safe for human consumption regardless. He's definitely making circles around here. I'm going to try and get him up here for us. At least get him one more piece in for today. There he is. Oh, he missed it. He missed it, so we're going to try and get him here again for me. He splashed me pretty well.
Got a nice shower there.
Yeah.
There you go.
Now we're going to try and get him up here again. He is eyeing it. We'll see if we can get him up here. There we go. There you go. Attaboy.